This is Russell Scott, and today I want to talk more about Pitcairn Island. This is the third show I've done on Pitcairn, and it's gotten some interest, that's for sure, and it's certainly got my interest. Because the deeper I look into the Pitcairn story, the worse it gets. And this story is so unique, so unusual, you couldn't write it. This is one of those truth is stranger than fiction moments. Pitcairn Island. If you don't yet know about Pitcairn, just watch my video, Don't Go to Pitcairn. And I followed that video up with Don't Go to Pitcairn too. And this is the third one. And I hate to say it, but this one is probably the most shocking of the three. Pitcairn. It's a fucked up place. You've heard me say that. Pitcairn. It's the Nigerian scam of the South Pacific. The people of Pitcairn? The trailer park trash of the sea. These are some of my better lines, but there is really nothing that could be said, or said in such a way that is good enough. The whole thing is so messed up, so warped, that you just have to research it for yourself and come up with your own words for it. This video assumes you know the story, that you're caught up. So if you haven't watched the first video, Don't Go to Pitcairn, listen to it, listen to the second one, or just come right to here. Doesn't matter, but you need the first one. It's the primer. Anyway, back in 2004, Steve Christian is the mayor. He gets caught for multiple counts of child rape. Him and 10 other men on the island also. This is an island of 50 people. The percentage may as well be 100%. What, there's one or two guys that aren't into it? That's the deviation. They're the weirdos on Pitcairn. If you're not raping children on Pitcairn, or you're not at least interested, there's something wrong with it. All the women there, after all, were having children at the age of 12, 13, 14 on the high side, and 15 you're getting on now. Those are the averages on Pitcairn. So Steve Christian goes to jail for a couple of years, and the mayor then becomes Mike Warren. And Mike Warren turns out to be far worse than even Steve Christian. Mike Warren had hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of child pornography videos on his computer, and most of them were of children in acts of bondage. I know it's hard to listen to. It is awkward. It's awkward for me. So this guy not only gets caught with child pornography, but let's be real, there are degrees, and the stuff that he got caught with was of such a heinous nature. It's pure evil. And now the trial of Mike Warren begins. It's 2016. He was caught with this shit years and years ago. But because of all the legal issues and the postponements and the bullshit, he's only going to court for it now. And who's on the bench trying this man? Well, it's Judge Arthur Tompkins. Judge Arthur Tompkins has 2 assessors, they call them, and they help the judge with his rulings. And you're not going to believe who one of the assessors is. Steve Christian. That's right. The mayor from 2004, Steve Christian, is one of the assessors helping the judge, Judge Tompkins, on his ruling against Mike Warren. A convicted, multiple rapist of children provides his expert opinion and assessment and helps with the ruling in this trial against Mike Warren, who was caught with hundreds of videos of child penetration bondage videos. And how did this whole thing get started? How did the authorities even get alerted to this whole pedophilia situation on the island in the first place? Well, it was Steve Christian's son, Randy Christian, who had been abusing a girl age of 5 years old. And that little girl complained. So this Steve Christian, who himself is a pedophile and has raised children to be pedophiles, and whose son is Randy Christian, the man who was abusing the 5-year-old girl who ultimately made the initial complaint of rapes on that island. Yes. His other son, Sean, he is now the mayor of Pitcairn. Are these the dumbest people on the planet? Steve Christian has the ear of the judge and has Mike Warren's fate in his hands. A kangaroo court. I've reached out to Kathy Marks. Kathy Marks has followed this case for the past 15-20 years. She wrote the book Lost Paradise. Not Paradise Lost, that's the poem by Milton. Lost Paradise. And she's followed this story better than anyone. I'm trying to get her on the show. I've got Jules McDonald on the show next week, September 28th. That's confirmed. Jules McDonald has been on the island. He's the star and director of the movie Take Me to Pitcairn. I've now been in email correspondence with the deputy mayor of Pitcairn. That's Charlene Warren Poe. Notice the name, Charlene Warren, Mike Warren. There's only so many names on Pitcairn. So you have Sean Christian as the mayor now. Sean Christian is the son of Steve Christian. Steve Christian was busted for rapes. Steve Christian's son Randy was raping a girl as young as 5. So now they naturally figured that Sean would be the best person for the job. So Sean's the mayor now. And Charlene Warren Poe, Charlene's a Warren. Mike Warren, he had unspeakable stuff on his computer. And was, by the way, also caught with an active live conversation with a 15-year-old. So they caught him with his hand in the cookie jar. They caught him in the act, too. And he'd actually tried to say he was just interested what this whole pedophilia thing was about. That was his defense. Sort of the Pete Townsend defense. I was just studying it. I just needed thousands and thousands of images and videos to study and really get a good grasp of what was going on here. Yeah, I jerked off to it. It's all in the name of research. Nothing going on here. And now prepare to have your blood run cold. Pitcairn has something called a Pitcairn Island Well-Being Charter. This is a document, you can read it yourself, and it's on the immigration.gov.pn/downloads/index page. And you can see all their documents there. They got the visitor visa application form, settlement application form, Pitcairn Island Child Wellbeing Charter. Here it is. The government of Pitcairn Island believe that all children on Pitcairn are entitled to live in a safe and nurturing environment. All residents of and visitors to Pitcairn must respect the rights of children. Anyone not abiding by the rules below should expect to be challenged. What we expect. All island children have their own trusted adults and cannot and will not engage with adults whom they do not trust. This is for their own safety. Parents will create a safe adult list for their children. There is a safe adult list for the children. Children cannot and will not engage with adults whom they do not trust. They have their own trusted adults and cannot and will not engage with adults whom they do not trust. There is a safe adult list. In other words, you're not speaking to the visitors about what goes on in Pitcairn. You have a list of people that you can talk to. You can talk to Charlene Warren. You can talk to Sean. You can talk to Miranda. You can't talk to anybody on the boat, though. You can't trust them. They're not on the list. You've been raped. You've been abused. You want to tell somebody. But there is only certain people you're allowed to talk to, and they aren't the people that visit the island. It's all being self-contained. They're keeping it there. They're not telling anybody what's going on. Everyone that's in a power position there is getting busted or comes from a family that's incredibly involved with this. It's for their own safety. Whose safety? It's for the safety of those in power, not the children. This is another rule. Visitors should not be unaccompanied with island children. Well, that seems kind of obvious, but again, that has to do with this other rule. You wouldn't want that island child telling anything to the visitor. We can't trust those visitors. They aren't on the list. Children who go out on cruise ships must be accompanied by a trusted family member at all times and must respect the rules on board. In other words, everything they say is being watched. And if they have a special complaint, it's not going to be directed to the visitors. They're not on the list. And if you want to go out to the cruise ship, you're going to be accompanied. You want to talk to the visitors, you want to look at them, you're going to be accompanied. We're going to make sure that everything and anything said is watched. What about the pedophiles that are going on the cruise ships? Are they watched? Is their every move monitored? Or are they allowed unrestricted access to the cruise ships? Those are pedophiles you're bringing on the cruise ship. What are their restrictions? The safe adult list. The only people that you're allowed to share those abuse claims with. And they aren't the outsiders. It's stranger than fiction. Like, comment, subscribe.